It is the first day back for teachers, and I am very busy trying to get ready for the first day of school. So today is Thursday. We have a teacher work days for Thursday, Friday. Students are going to start back on Monday. Now the interesting part is that students have Monday and Tuesday as a half day before we start a full day on Wednesday. So I am working on planning out an entire week's worth of lesson plans, and I want to share with you the 3 different types of activities that you need to be planning for the first week of school. Hey everyone, my name is Bridget Spackman. I'm a 4th grade ELA and social studies teacher in Central Pennsylvania. I've taught kindergarten, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, and I am very excited to share my journey at starting at a new school this year. So if this is something that you are really interested in, I am passionate about literacy instruction, rigorous teaching, and authentic learning, please make sure to like, subscribe, and join me for future videos. So today is Meet the Teacher night. So parents are going to be coming in this evening and we're going to have a little presentation for them. We're going to be holding the presentations in my partner's room, but my door will be open for parents to be able to come in and just take a peek around and for the students to also come in. So all I did was took a presentation that I use quite a bit actually, and I just added a little blurb down in the bottom just saying that we're all set up for the first day of school. Just make sure that your child's name is spelled correctly, and then also if they have a nickname, they can write it on a sticky note and then put it on their name tags. So currently, I have just about everything set up at their desks. So for those that are wondering, I did go ahead and decide to take away the scissors and place the crayons in there. I am also going to be removing the glue sticks, and I'm going to replace that with some pencils and also some erasers in there. So these items are now going to be stored in a different location. I have these bins from Lakeshore that I am not using currently, so I decided that I'm just going to go ahead and place scissors in one and then glue sticks in another. I'm going to go ahead and get these labeled, and so when we do need to use them, I can just open them up, pull them out, and then have the kids pass them out to their peers. One of the most important components of the beginning of the school year is talking about routines and procedures. Now, we know that we have to do routines and procedures. We know we have to talk about them and model how to do these with our students. However, we want to also be very careful with the amount that we're trying to demonstrate and kind of shove down our kids' throats because it tends to get very, very overwhelming. And the more you try to push into one day, the easier it is for kids to forget. So I like to very gently scaffold this process over a week. And this is more of like those basic routines, procedures that are not essentially focused on a subject area. So I've created some anchor charts to help guide me with the beginning of the year. I did show this in my previous vlog, but I added a few extra that I wanted to share with you all. So one of the things that I did was created a beginning of the year routines and procedures list that we're going to discuss as a class. I used the voice level anchor from Jill Schaefer, which is Hello Fifth. She showed this in her Instagram stories a few years back. I've used it ever since and I love it. And then I have one for arrival and dismissal. These are my 2 pet peeves, and so I like to make sure that students understand exactly what is expected of them when they are entering into my classroom and also when we're preparing to leave. Some ones that I added in here are going to be flexible seating. So my students are not going to have assigned seats this year. They're going to have that opportunity to select where to sit. And so we're going to have a conversation just about some of the different options of seating. What are some of those best choices? How do we go about choosing our seats? And then they're also going to talk about what it looks, feels, and sounds like. We also have one for transitions, where we're going to talk about some of the different types of transitions, like what does it mean when we transition? Also, again, what does it look, sound, and feel like? And then we have it's going to happen quickly, quietly, and calmly. Then I have the when can I, which by the way, these are all inspired, oh man, these were a few years ago from, I think it was something unicorns. I am so sorry, I forgot, but it was inspired by somebody on Instagram. So I took those and kind of customized them to make them fit my classroom. So when can I, which are routines and procedures. We're going to talk about when can I go to the bathroom, when can I get a drink, can I grab materials, when can I go to the nurse, and I left a blank one there just so that we can add those in if I can think of another one. But we have different options here. We're going to mark them off for when they can do some of these items. And then I also have a show me, which is my attention getter. So anytime I do an attention getter, I want 5 things to end up happening. We're going to discuss what that ends up looking like and adding some of that information there. So I have the basics for my routines and procedures. Notice that I did not make one for recess, for lunch, for the hallway. I feel as though if I was to try to make an anchor chart for every single area of a routine and procedure, my classroom would be filled. So I chose not to do those. My hallway behavior is always a perfect 10. So I tell them I want 1 line, 0 talking, which is a perfect 10. And I will hound them repeatedly to ensure that we're following that appropriately. We'll talk about recess. We'll talk about lunch. The beauty of being in a K-6 building is that my students are already very well aware of some of the expectations. I just need to reiterate my expectations as a teacher for a classroom. So that is going to be the first thing that we're going to be incorporating into my lessons plans next week. The second component that you want to include into your lesson plans for the first week of school are quiet, independent activities. And these are really important because there are going to be times where things are a little bit hectic. For example, when students are coming in the morning, you want to get them seated, you want to get them working on something very quietly. You don't want a ton of questions, you don't want students walking around not knowing what to do, and so incorporating some of those quiet activities where you're able to take care of more of the administrative side of teaching, and also rest your feet and your voice because you're going to be talking quite a bit, are really, really important. So I wanted to share some of the activities that I like to incorporate at the beginning of the school year. Now, all of these are not necessarily things that I have created, and I will kind of point out which ones I have not created and hopefully be able to share some of those links down in the description box. So one of the first things that I did is I use, and this is my first time using it, but I'm using Jill Schaefer. Again, I adore her. She is just one of my favorite people on the planet. Her resource for back to school, the beginning of the school year, she has like a bundle where it has all these different activities, and I have this mat at their desk, which is something that they're going to work on immediately. Now, I like this because there's no pressure. Students can give me what their favorite color is, food. There's not a ton of writing in it. There is a little kind of work through puzzle piece that they can use and color and add some of those pieces to. And I know they can sit down and get started on that quietly while I'm still working and helping students get into the classroom. So this is going to be one of them. The next activity that I have is going to be a name tag. Now, this is something that I did go ahead and create. I've seen different name tag versions throughout the year, and to be honest, again, my kids are not going to have assigned seats, so they're going to get to choose where they want to sit. I'm not going to use this for a very long time. I just know that if I was a student coming in on the first day, I would be a total anxious mess and not know where to sit. And so I'm relieving some of that anxiety and telling them where to sit on the first day. Plus, we're going to use this as an activity for sharing, and I can also laminate these and post these around my classroom because the students are going to customize them. So, using a font in Google Drive, I just kind of did an outline font with their names, and then they have 4 quadrants, and within each quadrant they have to complete a certain piece. Now, I did this for the past 2 years, I think, so it's a name tag activity. Each box is going to have a specific thing for them to either draw or put words in, and in order to really help my kids, I'm going to have an example ready to go so that I can show them what this should look like. What's nice is that the kids then get to share it, and I can laminate it and post it around my classroom or outside in the hallway. Another one that I'm going to be doing, and I already shared about this a little bit, which are my hopes and dreams. And this goes along with our promises that we have for our classroom. And so with hopes and dreams, the kids are going to fill out this little graphic organizer. So you can see that there. This is something that I have created and made just to be able to use it with my kids. From here, they're going to then put it onto the final copy of their books, which is something I don't have printed. Mental note, I need to print those. And then they're gonna have those displayed in the classroom as well. Another one that I think is just one that a lot of teachers do are going to be the homeroom word searches. So I already have my homeroom ready to go. I need to do my partner's homeroom so that I have it for when they come in. And again, these are things that I don't necessarily have to do with them. I just have them ready in case I need something as a backup plan. Backup plans are important. Another one that I've done in previous years is a news about me, and I like these because then I can put them onto construction paper and post them outside of the classroom. I have it just in case. You could also make these into a class book about me, so you can have that displayed in your classroom library, which is really fun. You put a cover on it, laminate each of the pages, bind it, and then put it in your library. Kids love going and reading about one another, and they like being able to see their work. And then I also have, you're probably thinking, she's gonna do all this? No, I'm not, guys. I'm not doing all of it, but I have it ready to go just in case. Also with Jill Schaefer's product for the beginning of the school year, she has some of the Find Someone Who, and I love, love, love this game. So this is Find Someone Who, and there are 3 different versions. So I have all 3 versions ready to go. And then I have one more. This one I did at my previous school right at the end of the year. So that way the teachers who were there for our multi-age team could just have them posted outside of the classroom and make kids already feel super welcome on the first day of school. And that is an All About Me page. I have seen these before when it comes to characters, and I apologize, I don't know the seller, but I will post the product down in the description box. But this is an All About Me, and so you can see here, it has different questions. They can decorate it to make it look like themselves, and it just kind of goes through facts about them. What I love about it is, 1, the size, because it's pretty cool. And I just love that the kids can decorate it to make it look like them. So that person is going to be kind of the representation of who they are. And this is really, really cool to hang out into the hallways, which is what I'm going to do. Now, I want to note that it is 4 pages for 1 kid. Now, to make this as simple as possible at the beginning of the school year, I am going to go ahead and choose to have these already glued together. I don't want students trying to cut them. I don't want to try to sit there and glue them. So I'm going to have these already done. So that way all they have to worry about is coloring and filling in all of the different answers and responses. It's a very, very easy way of, not having to spend so much time on something. But I am very excited to get to use these. So we've talked about routines and procedures. We've talked about those quiet, independent activities. I have one more for you that we're going to talk about. So the next type of component that you want to incorporate are going to be collaborative team building activities. Now, this can be broken into 2 different categories. The first category is a little bit more extensive. It's going to require a little bit more prep, and it's also in the form of some type of game, hands-on activity, and it's going to take a lot longer. So think of these as your really, really long activities. So let me show you some of the ones that I have prepped and ready to go. So this is my little station where I have a lot of the activities and also some supplies back here. So the first activity that I have is going to be this one, and this one is from Hello Fifth's bundle. So it comes included with all of the different activities that I've already shown you. So this one has multiple different questions that you will post around the classroom. So how do you usually get to school? How do you feel about homework? And so on and so forth. So you post these around your room. Students will use a marker and they will walk around and they will place their initials in the correct box. Very simple, very fun, but they're getting up, they're moving, they're collaborating with one another. You can even have them do a discussion. So having a rotation for about a minute within each section. And it's very, very simple and low prep. The next activity I'm gonna be using for rotations for my 4th grade team. So I decided that I'm gonna do a puzzle activity. And for this one, I purchased different puzzles. They're all 24. So you can see I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I have some Monster Jam. This one's just a really pretty scenery. So what I'm gonna do is put kids into teams. Each team is then going to shuffle the puzzle pieces. One student's going to be blindfolded. Now, the goal is that students have to help tell them where the puzzle pieces are going to go to the blindfolded students. Students who are not blindfolded are not allowed to touch the puzzle pieces. So a lot of discussion is going to be required for this. They're going to have to realize that they have to work together as a team. Not everybody's going to be able to talk at one time. And so this is a great opportunity to just talk about collaboration and effective communication. So very simple, but this is going to be one that I do another day. I also have some activities that I've just used over the years, and I just kind of store them inside of this box. One of them is going to be a headbands game activity. These are going to be using very generic beginning of the year topics. And so the kids will place the headband around. They will be with a partner, and then they have to guess however many cards, as many cards as they can within a limited amount of time. It's fun, it's engaging, it gets them thinking, and the kids just have a really good laugh with it. So love that one. This one I have kind of created myself. Obviously that I bought from the Dollar Tree. And then I've had my headbands for a while, so I just rewash them and store them for every year. The next one is one that I love, and this is one that I will do at the beginning of every year, and that is a Crack the Classroom Code, getting to know you activity. And so I already have these prepped and ready to go in their envelopes. Like I said, I use it every year, but I love it. I do have to kind of set aside about an hour for this, and I always give my students a treat afterwards, even if they don't crack the code at the very end. But it's such a fun and engaging, and students just love this year after year. So that's one that I will always keep and have prepped ready to go. Finally, this one is just a favorite of mine because my cousin, teaching third with Mr. G, is the one who created it, and this is going to be JENGA Talk. And so I already have these cut out and ready to go. But what I do is I have the JENGA Talk all kind of bound into a little ring, and then I use these little paint markers, you can see them here, to add color to the ends of these Jenga pieces. Now these I got from the Dollar Tree. I only put 39 in there. They come with a lot of them. So I was able to get almost two sets from one, I guess, Jenga piece that you can buy at the Dollar Tree. So I'm adding the colors to these. I did have an entire class set of Jenga, and I don't know what happened to it. I may have lost it in the move. So I'm just making new ones for this year. So students will be placed into groups of 3. When they pull a Jenga piece, depending on the color, that student will then turn to that color. So let's say I picked blue. They're gonna turn to the blue, and then they're going to read the first question. They read the question, and everybody goes around the circle and answers it. And then the next student to the right of that learner will pull the next color. If they pull another blue, then they just move down to question number 2. So I only have 8 blues, and then there are 8 pinks and 8 oranges and 8 purples and so on and so forth. So it's a great game to have prepped and ready. And I do know that inside of his store where he sells these, it comes with lots of different types. So there's one for the beginning of the year, there's one for the end of the year, there's one for Valentine's Day. And so it's just nice to kind of have these already prepped and ready to go. And then I can just print these out and have a really fun and engaging activity for my students. The next kind of activity are more low prep, simple games that you can play with your students as brain breaks. And these, I like to think of them and place them into the category of like morning meeting and closing circle activities. So these activities, you can go online and type morning meeting activities, and a load of different options are going to come up. But I'm gonna walk you through a couple of my favorites. So the first activity that I want to share with you is a game called Snake. Now this was something that was introduced to me by an amazing reading specialist that I had the privilege to work with for a while. She showed this to my kids then showed it to me, and it's just been a game that I use over and over again. So it's a game of, I guess, chance. is what you can say. But what you'll do is have each of your students open up either a piece of paper or they can just use a whiteboard, and they're going to spell the word snake, S-N-A-K-E. And snake is going to create each of the columns like you see here. And so you will have 2 sets of die. So you'll have 2 of them, and you're going to go up to the room and you're going to roll the dice, okay? Let's say I roll a 2 and a 1, and I would say 2, 1. So the students would then add it up in their head, and then they would write the number 3 under the first column. Then let's say I roll a 3 and a 2. Again, students add it up in their head, and they would say 5. Now, some kids will add it right there, and they will change their answer, or they can just keep a running list of all the numbers. What happens from there is students kind of have to guess. When is she going to roll a pair? Because if I roll a pair, so a 2, 2, a 3, 3, a 4, 4, 1, 1, a 6, 6, then they lose all the numbers on their board. So some of them start to get really, really antsy, and they're like, oh, I don't know, she's good, she might do it, she might do it. And if they decide that they're happy with the numbers that they have there, they will sit down and they get to keep their score. Now, if I end up rolling that 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, the students who are still standing have to cross that number out. Okay, that's why it's a game of chance. Then all students get to stand back up, and we get to do the next column, which is going to be the N, and the whole thing starts all over again. So if I roll a 2, 2, a 3, 3, a 4, 4, a 5, 5, they lose all the numbers if they're still standing. But if they kind of keep going, they get some numbers and they're happy with what they have and they sit down, they get to keep that score. The students at the very end who have the highest number ends up being the winner. So it's a game, Snake, really, really fun. It ends up lasting maybe at about 10-ish minutes. So it's a great time filler for when you need it. The next game that I really love is called Critic. Now, this one was one that I learned when I was in my internship, and I, again, play this one every single year because it's a silent game. So what I do is I will tell students that there is gonna be a critic in the room, and this critic is gonna judge drawings. Now, to keep this anonymous, the critic will go to the back of the classroom and face the back. Okay, so they're facing the back and they're all the way in the back of the room. As I walk around, I will hand out 3 or 4 expo markers to my students, or in this case, chalk. I'm gonna hand those pieces out quietly, and then those 4 students are gonna stand up and they're gonna go to the front of the board. Now on the board, I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, and then 4 labeled out just like that. And so students will just go to one of the numbers. And then as they are up there, I will then say, okay, so today I would like for you to draw a school. Draw me your very best school. So as they start to finish up drawing, they're gonna come back, they're gonna hand me the expo marker or chalk, and then they're gonna take a seat. Once all 4 people who have drawn their drawings have taken a seat, I then tell the critic to stand up and please judge what they believe to be their best school, like which one is the best drawing of a school. So it's very opinionated, obviously, because it's a critic, and the critic will then select one of the drawings from underneath a specific number. And then that student then becomes a critic. Now, what I love about this is I try to keep it very themey. So during the winter, I do winter items. During Halloween, I do Halloween items. During beginning of the school year, I do beginning of the school year items. And it's just something really fun and easy that you can play with your kids. The last activity that I want to share with you is a game called 21. This is another game that I've played a number of times with my students, and they love it. So with this game, all the students stand up behind their desks, and the whole goal is that you don't want to say the number 21. Now, here's the trick. Each student, as they go around, they can say up to 3 numbers, but they have to say the numbers consecutively all the way from 1 to 21. So let's say I'm student A. Student A might start with 1, 2, 3. Student B then might go 4. Then student C might say 5, 6. Student D might say 7, 8, 9. The next student might say 10, 11. The next one might say 12. The next one will then say 13, 14, 15. So they keep going. The student who ends up having to say the number 21 is the student who is out. And then it starts all over again. So they keep going until there's only one student remaining. And that one student ends up being the winner of the game. So those are going to be some of the activities that I plan on utilizing during my first week with my students. I am beyond excited to get to meet them this evening. We have our presentation all ready to go. I'm getting all of my lesson plans and all my items prepped and ready for next week so that I am living stress-free. That is key here. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and just getting a peek into some of the things that I'm going to be utilizing next week with my kiddos. If you have any suggestions or things that you love using on the first week of school, please make sure to put them down in the comments. Or if you see one of the items that I kind of talked about and that you really, really love, tell me which one you are going to use in your room. I love collaborating with you guys and just talking with you. You are all such an amazing community, and I look forward to sharing with you so many wonderful things this upcoming school year. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye.